esteem and honor to the Most High Yah by way of Yahushua HaMashiach this day. John 5:39.
I can pray over.
Yes. Do you want to pray?
Yeah.
You don't have anything on your head. John 5:39. Y'all gonna sit down. Y'all gonna sit down.
Can we play later?
Yes, you can. Yes, you can.
Can we play later?
Yes, you can.
Ready for us that table.
Okay. Sit down, boy. Search the scriptures, for in them you think you have eternal life, and they are they which testify of me. And you will not come to me that you might have life. I receive not honor from men, but I know you, that you have not the love of Elohim in you. I come in my Abba's name, and you receive me not. If another shall come in his own name, him you will receive. How can you believe which receive honor one of another, and not the honor that comes from Elohim only? Do not think that I will accuse you to Abba. There is one that accuse you, even Moses, of whom you trust. But had you believed Moses, you would have believed me, for he wrote of me. But if you believe not his writings, how shall you believe my words? So let's go over here. We started with how there had to be a. Well, let's look at Numbers 27 and 17, which is what we started with. Stop that, Renee. Yes. Number 27 and 17. It says, quiet, quiet. It is quiet time now. No talking. Say, which may go out before them. Well, let me read verse 16. Let Yahuwah Elohim of Ruachs of all flesh set a man over the congregation, which may go out before them, and which may go in before them, and which may lead them out, and which may bring them in, and that the congregation of Yahuwah be not as sheep which have no shepherd. So remember that go in before them is the panem, which is the words of eternal life. Words of eternal life. Remember, sheep is a scion, which is the desire for life, and the shepherd is the Raah, which is one who calls one to behold the experience of the head. So we're talking about beholding the experience of God. So we have to turn around and begin to sit back and look at it. That is what a shepherd is supposed. Because if you understand what experience is something that you actually partake in, something that you actually do. Go put that broom up.
Okay.
Let's look at something. 1 Corinthians chapter 9. We kind of hit something in 1 Corinthians chapter 9 the other day. And we're going to do it again. Stop throwing that hat. Stop moving around playing in here. This is not playtime. If you're going to play, you're going to go get in the bed. Because you're not doing that. I desire not to have to say it again. First Corinthians chapter 9. And we want verse 7. I believe verse 7 is what I desire. Yeah, I believe that's it. It says, who go at warfare any time at his own charges? Who plant a vineyard and eat not the fruit thereof? Or feed a flock and eat not the milk of the flock? So, think about that. He said, who feeds a flock, but then doesn't partake in the milk of said flock? Now, of course, he's talking about a different matter, but we're trying to get a little bit of understanding. How you going to say, who feeds a flock and doesn't drink the milk of the flock? I think something else we want on this here. 1 Corinthians chapter 3. Let me see if that's what I want, man. Let me make sure that's what I want. It's in my head, but I don't think it's right here in that particular spot. Nevertheless, we'll revisit. Go back to first. Let's go to 1 Timothy chapter 3 because I'm trying to recall where it's at. The verse is ringing in my head. Because what we're trying to get to with this is here when you're dealing with a shepherd. And the shepherd is the one. Yes.
I need to get something in my hand.
You need to go get it. There it is. That's what I want. We shall work our way there. Let's go to 1 Timothy chapter 3 first. And verse 1. For what a shepherd must first be able to do before he can cause one to behold the experience of Yahushua, of the experience of Elohim, he has to first partake in the experience himself. If he doesn't partake in the experience of himself, how would he be able to impart the experience unto another person? Which will cause the sheep to end up having a desire to the life that comes from said head, who he's causing to behold that experience. So then, because you're beholding that experience, it's because this shepherd has given you the words of eternal life, and that's where your desire lies. See, if you actually want to save your soul, there has to be a desire for said salvation, not lip service, not ritualistic behavior. You're doing something out of habit, but a burning desire within the depths of your soul. I had someone ask me about why does it seem like not a lot of people have it together. A lot of people don't seem to have it together because they don't have a desire to do this, which is the desire, the need. People don't have a need for Elohim. You just talk about it. It's just conversation. But where's your burning desire for his presence, for his essence, for his salvation? Do you yearn for it? See, I was talking about this the other day, right? And the statement is, how can I miss you if you don't go away? You know, you don't want to be up your wife's butt all the time. You don't want to be around your man all the time. So, because it's a simple fact, if you do that, how can you appreciate them? Because you never miss them because you're around them 24/7, 365. Because, you know, there's this saying, you know, absence makes the heart grow fonder. Now, that's a little difference when we go to talking about Yahuwah. Because he was absent from us our whole entire lives until he made his presence known unto us by the revealing of his word by way of his son Yahushua HaMashiach. Now, his word has been revealed. And you should have a burning desire. If you say you are his sheep, you should have a burning desire for him, for his word, for his salvation. Not just, oh, we just doing this. Oh, we just listening to this nigga talk. Oh, we just showing up. Because you done missed the whole point. This man here crazy. You have to think about that. How bad do you want that? Because how would you feel if that essence or that word was removed from you? What would you do? What would you do? Complacency is the enemy of all righteousness. Complacency is the enemy of all progression. Complacency is the enemy of all greatness. The minute you feel comfortable and you don't feel like you need to get better and you don't need to know more and you don't need to expand because you feel like you done made it, is the minute you have lost. Since I said that before we read in 1 Timothy chapter 3, come over here to Philippians chapter 3. Y'all sit down and be quiet. Philippians chapter 3 and verse 9. Sit down. That blanket is not going to move. You don't need to put them chairs on that blanket. Get them chairs off of that blanket. All you need to do is sit down or lay down. That's all you need to do. You're doing too much. You're doing too much. and be found in him, not having my own righteousness which is of the Torah, but that which is through faith of Mashiach, the righteousness which is of Elohim by faith, that I may know him in the power of his resurrection and the fellowship of his sufferings, and being conformable unto his death, if by any means. See, pause right here, right? Look at verse 10, which is what we're going to be networking in, you who are willing tonight and y'all willing on tomorrow. That I may know him in the power of his resurrection and the fellowship of his sufferings, being conformable unto his death. This means that he desires to have that experience. That experience. But before you can even talk about having fellowship with his sufferings and the power of his resurrection and being conformable unto his death, someone has to make that experience known unto you in order for that to happen. Then you can see how that individual who is causing you to behold that experience is possessing the panim, or the face, or the words of eternal life. So you can have a desire for life, a desire for Elohim. This is why Paul said that your faith might not stand in men, but in Elohim. If by any means I might attain unto the resurrection of the dead, not as though I had already attained, either were already perfect, but I follow after, if that I may apprehend that which I also am apprehended of, Yahushua HaMashiach. You notice he said he hadn't already attained it. He hadn't had it in his mind that I'm good. He wasn't complacent. He wasn't comfortable. He said, I'm apprehended of the faith of Yahushua HaMashiach, and I continue to chase it and perfect myself in it, that I may be apprehended of him. I hope none of you have hit a level of complacency. What are you comfortable for? What are you comfortable for? You have no reason to be comfortable. Nobody alive has any reason to be comfortable. You have to stay hungry. You have to treat everything just like Big put it. You got to treat every project like it's your first record, like it's your first album. You have to stay hungry. Most people don't. I still go as hard as if it was my first day. You still, do you even sit back and I'm gonna ask y'all this question again on tomorrow? You're who are with it. Do you even sit back and ask yourself, how can I be better? Like when I hear about certain athletes at every season, these are the athletes who are at the top of their field, and every season they go into the off season looking for something that they can find so that they can be better. They're not resting on, we won a championship last season, I won an MVP award, I did this, that, and that. Come here, Elizabeth. That I got this and this. They're looking to be better. Go sit down. They're looking to be better. They're looking for ways to be better. They're looking for things to improve upon. And you have to continue. You have to be real with yourself and examine yourself on what is it that I can be better at. Can I be a better father? Can I be a better husband? Can I be a better friend? Can I have more self-control? Can I be more patient? Can I be more loving? Can my faith be increased? Can I have more joy? Can I have more love to Elohim? Can I love my neighbors, myself better? Can I be wiser? Can I have more understanding? Can I execute better? Can I apply better? Can I communicate better? Can I be gentler? Can I execute goodness better? What is it that I can do that I can be better than what I was yesterday? Nevertheless, 1 Timothy chapter 3. Elizabeth, fix your clothes. Hey man, take that out of here. Take that out of here. Your jammies are dirty. No, you're gonna listen. Go see your mommy. You might want to get your blanket, Elizabeth. 1 Timothy 3:1. This is a true saying. If a man desire the office of a bishop, he desire good work. A bishop then must be blameless, the husband of one wife, vigilant, sober, of good behavior, given to hospitality, apt to teach. Notice that he said he must be blameless. So when we come with that, for him to do that, that means he would have had to experience Yahusha. How would he would have had to experience Yahusha? Let's go back to the prophets and see what he would have had to do. Ezekiel 18 and 30. And remember, we read Jeremiah 3 and 15 and we ceased on it, and we have to expound on it. You know, hold on. Because what we're looking at with a shepherd causing you to experience or behold the experience of the head is twofold. We have to look at Yahushua, the great shepherd, causing us to experience Elohim, and then you would sit back and look at the ancillary shepherds of whom Yahushua sent, who would cause you to be able to experience him. Nevertheless, either way it go, your desire will still be the Elohim, regardless. And they still would be manifest in the words of eternal life, regardless. Because they would be pointing you back to the author and the originator of said life, which is Elohim himself. But with that being said, you cannot manifest. I don't care who you are. You don't even have to say you a shepherd, a pastor, a teacher, or nothing. You cannot manifest the experience of Elohim until you first have partook in it. If you haven't partook in it, how on Yah's green earth are you going to be able to show that to someone else? You're not going to be able to do it. That's putting the cart before the horse. 18 and 30. Say, therefore, I will judge you, O house of Yasharal, everyone according to his ways, saith Yahuwah Elohim. Repent and turn yourselves from all your transgressions, so iniquity shall not be your ruin. Cast away from you all your transgressions whereby you have transgressed, and make you a new heart and a new ruach. For why will you die, O house of Yasharal? So the first things first. In order for one to become blameless, they had to cast away from them their transgressions. They would have had to have been born again. So that which is of flesh is flesh, and that which is of ruach is ruach. This is why, and then that's where the skill in the teaching the word is going to come into. Because if you have skill to teach the word, that means that two things had to occur. Which we're going to get to that in a while. We kind of talked about it briefly on Wednesday. Let's look at an instance of it now, since I said it. This is some of the stuff that just rehashing things that you already know. Titus, the epistle of Titus. And then after that, 2 Timothy chapter 2 and verse 3. The epistle of Titus and 1. Chapter 1, I should say. Probably about verse 3. So I can actually get to Titus. Titus 1 and 4. Titus 1 and 4. Come on 1 second, y'all. I meant to look this word earlier. Slipped my mind. I had a conversation with a brother about this the other day. And he was talking about cool. He was talking about dudes forsaking their family to preach the word. I say, man, and it's a lot of dudes that teach that a man can leave his whole wife and kids and preach the word, which is totally contrary to the way of Yahuwah. I don't know how anybody think Yahuwah would stamp you leaving your family behind and not take care of them so you could preach. Because he was like, Peter left his wife behind. Peter was an elder though. The Hebrew word for elder is Raah, and with that you get the Rosh and the Bat, the head of the house. That's what that is. So that's what an elder is when you're looking at the body of Mashiach. They're the head of that household. See, a lot of brews, which we're going to read one of that verse, they try to take a particular verse of Mashiach out of context. They try to take it out of context for the simple fact because men despise authority. They don't really want to listen. They don't really want to take the direction from another man because they're not firm in their own masculinity. They're not firm in their own manhood. Because one thing I've been taught since I was a child is that before you can lead anyone, you have to know how to follow. And if you don't know how to follow directions and you don't know how to follow leadership, then there's no way you can lead anyone anywhere. You know what I'm saying? And that's period. See, everybody wants to be a leader and this, that, that, and the third, and that's cool. It's nothing wrong with that. It's not absolutely nothing wrong with that. But you would have to take the time to cultivate the qualities that you would need to possess for such a said position if you don't possess them naturally. And even if you possess them naturally, you would still need to perfect them and work on them. I mean, that's a never-ending thing. I can't give you one tidbit if I didn't mention it last time I had this conversation with y'all. You can't lead anybody anywhere if you don't have the power of influence. If you're not able to influence people, then no one will follow you. No one will, and when you say follow you, meaning listen to you. No one is going to listen to you. No one is going to take heed or even consider anything that you say out of your mouth. And usually influence comes with credibility. Credibility comes with consistency. Consistency comes with steadfastness in the things that you profess to believe in because you actually apply them yourselves. If you don't actually apply it yourself, no one is going to listen to you. Do you not realize the level of influence Yahushua possessed to cause these people to even listen to him? What do you think the influence? This is why Paul said we persuade men. What influence do you think these men possessed? There had to be something that they were doing that caused them to be able to influence other people to come behind them and go along with them on this journey. Niggas want to be husbands. Can you influence your household? Because some people do have influence, but it's not a positive influence. Some of it is a weak influence. Some of it is negative influence. See, I'm just going to ask y'all this question like tomorrow. And I should wait, but I probably just sit back and ask yourself. I want to ask that question. I asked them, if you want to know anything about yourself, all you need to look at is the 3 to 5 people who you're around and who you talk to on a regular basis. And that's pretty much who you are. Because those people have a major influence upon you. Because these are the people you deal with the most. The 3 to 5 people you talk to the most. The 3 to 5 people you see the most. The 3 to 5 people you around the most are a direct reflection of what type of mind you have. What level of influence is these people having on you? What level of influence are you having on them? Why do you think the book say evil communication corrupt good manners? Because it's influence. It's influence. People can influence you to do wrong, just someone can influence you to do right. So the shepherd's job is to cause you to behold the experience of the head, because he's going before you, because he has the words of eternal life, that you may be influenced to have a desire towards the seed of life, which is Yahushua himself. And then conversely, if you put it on Yahushua and you take those words and apply it to him, so that you can get the seed of life which comes from Abba Yahuwah himself. See, a lot of people don't have no influence, but yet they want to try to be in front of other people. First, Titus chapter 1 and verse 5. For this cause left I thee in Crete, that thou shouldst set in order the things that are wanting, and ordain elders in every city, as I had appointed thee. And if any be blameless, the husband of one wife, having faithful children, not accused of riot or unruly. For a bishop must be blameless as the steward of Elohim, not self-willed, not soon angry, not given to wine, no striker, not given to filthy lucre, but a lover of hospitality, a lover of good men, sober, just, kadosh, temperate, holding fast the faithful word as he'd been taught, that he may be able by sound doctrine to both to exhort and to convince the gainsayer. You know how many people are canceled out because they don't love good men? You know how many people are canceled out because they're self-willed, because they like to do what they want to do? You can't be a servant of Elohim and do what you want to do. The first example of that is with the chief shepherd. Let's look and see how the chief shepherd was not self-willed. Let's go to Luke 22. Very simple saying. We could say it, but I want to read it on the page, off the page. We read it Wednesday, and we're going to read it again. We just want to read it off the page. If you're going to be a shepherd, you can't do what you want to do. If you're gonna be the head of the household, you cannot be self-willed. That shows you even when they sit back and you turn about talking about being a husband. When it says the husband is the head of the woman or the head of the house, you cannot be a selfish man and be nobody's husband. Can't do it. Can't lead the household because that is a negative influence on the household. That's not a positive influence, nor will it engender anyone to follow you. Follow you where? How? How? When? What? How? That's not even plausible. It's not even possible. That's not an attribute that a man can possess and be a leader, and to be selfish and to be stubborn. And I'm going to do what I want to do, how I want to do it, with no consideration. That's not wisdom. That's not godliness, and it's unacceptable. And that's what Yahuwah said, not me. Now, of course, he's talking about being the head of a congregation, but you can still take it in the aspect of, and it's Luke 22 and 39. You can still take it into the aspect of leading your house as a man. As a man. It said you can't be self-willed. If the elder is the Raah, and that is the Rosh and the Bat, that is the head of the house. He said the head of the house can't be self-willed. If we were to go in this text right now, can't we see that Yahushua was not self-willed? That he did not move according to his own will? That's not how he moved. So if we say we men and he done made us kings and priests, and you know, it's funny to me when dudes number like I say, we believe in keeping the law. Let that be known. But we don't put it above Yahushua. But the reason why I say that is dudes always scream, Yahushua gave us the example that we could keep these laws. But when you look at the attributes of character, when you look at the attributes of character and the actions of how this man moved and dealt with his wife, dealt with his children, dealt with the people, dealt with whoever, niggas don't like to talk about that. They don't like to talk about that. Because it said the head of the house is not self-willed. The head of the house is not selfish. The head of the house does not do what he wants to do. He does what his Elohim wants him to do. This is why he repented and cast away from him all his transgressions and made him a new heart and a new ruach. Gave himself a new mind. Gave himself a new lab, which is the teaching to get in the house. It's the lamar and it's the bat. This is the teaching to get in the house. So, in order for him to be the head of the house, he had to be taught how to get in the house. Once you've been taught how to get in the house, then you can lead the house. If you ain't been taught how to get in the house, you can't lead one. Meaning, you got to be taught how to get this man Ruach and abide in that, and that abide in you, so that you can be able to lead a household. That's why he sat back and said, if you can't control your own house, how can you rule over the house of Elohim? If you can't control your children, if you can't control your wife, that's not the hallmark of a man. And when we talk about controlling your wife, meaning directing your house in righteousness, that the inhabitants of your household, as Yahushua son of Nun put it, as forth as me and my house, we shall serve Yahuwah. That's what he means. Not controlling this woman's actions. Not being a tyrant. Not being a douchebag. Not being a prick. Not being a weak, insecure man that feels like he has to demand and require a woman to do something. If you have to demand and require your woman to submit unto the will of Elohim, you chose the wrong woman. At the end of the day, you chose the wrong woman. You chose a woman with your penis and not with your spirit. You chose a woman with your eyes and not with your spirit. The spirit of Elohim, I should say. That's what you did. That's what you did. You know what I'm saying? They're like, that's where that wisdom and that understanding come in at. Where is the insight? Where is the wisdom? Because everybody, we professing all of these things, but then we don't leave behind the evidence that we've actually experienced Elohim. Because we would make much better decisions. You know what I'm saying? Much better decisions. Luke 22 and 39. And he came out and went as he wont to the Mount of Olives, and the disciples also followed him. And when he was at the place, he said unto them, Pray that ye enter not into temptation. And he was withdrawn from them about a stone's cast, and kneeled down and prayed, saying, Abba, if thou be willing, remove this cup from me. Nevertheless, not my will be done, but thine be done. This is the head of the house. Remember, he said, I'm your Lord and Master. That's what he said in John 13. The head of your household was not self-willed. The head of your household, when he was about to die, he told Peter, I could get 12 legions of Malachim, but how else will the scripture be fulfilled? If the head of your household can open up his mouth before the head of him and say, not my will be done, but thy will be done, then if you say you want to be a shepherd, you want to be a preacher to the people, a leader to the people, you can't do what you want to do. Nobody cares what you want to do. Since I said that, Luke 17 and 7. And that means also, if you want to be somebody's husband, you want to lead somebody's household. See, because that's what I'm going to talk to y'all about tomorrow. Because I was already having a conversation. And then I looked at a little video with Willie D. And Willie D from the Ghetto Boys, he was saying things that's exactly how I thought when I was 16, 17 years old. And he said that's exactly how he thought. And that was in regards of not having children. That's why I don't have any children now. Because you have to sufficiently be able to provide for these children. But most people sit back and they think with their loins. And they're not sitting back thinking about you going to bring this child into the world to struggle. I watched my mama struggle. So I knew I wasn't finna have no children and have them struggle and have their mama struggle. I wasn't finna do that. So you have to take into account, I'm 16 years old thinking like this. I start hustling 3 years later. I knew full well I wasn't going to have no kids then. I'm not finna have no kids. I'm out here selling crack. I get locked up. They mama got to bring them to talk to me through some glass or have them come see me in a prison. No. Or y'all forbid visit my grave. No, I'm not doing that. That's selfish. I'm not doing that. You know what I'm saying? I'm absolutely not doing that. You know what I'm saying? No, absolutely not. I'm not putting them through that. You know what I'm saying? If we thought about stuff in a more adult fashion instead of going off on impulse and how you feeling and marrying for the most idiotic reasons in the world, then there's a lot of things we won't have to go through. You know what I'm saying? Y'all know I was in a long-term relationship, and the only reason we didn't get married is because those funds were not to the point where I felt like she would not have to struggle. My wife is not going to struggle. And when I say struggle, not meaning, oh, I'm doing bad or this, that, there, and the third, meaning there's a certain sufficient standard of living that she needs to be able to have. It's not nothing about being rich or none of that. Basically, that she would never have to worry about what my mother had to worry about. How's the rent going to be paid? How's food going to be in? You don't have to worry about nothing. You know what I'm saying? You need to think about that before you get married. And if you ain't on that type of time, you don't need to be seriously dating anybody. And you definitely don't need to be putting your penis in anybody. And we already know you ain't got no business doing that if you in the word. But if you take the word out to play, if you know you can't take care of no children if you have them, why put yourself in a position and make them? Because they're expensive. Then on top of that, it is a sacred and major responsibility not to be taken lightly. Not to be taken lightly. Not for no man. You have a child. That's a blank canvas. That's a blank canvas. With their mind, you can craft and generate them any way you see fit. What are you going to do with that? They not for dress up. They not for cute. You're raising someone and preparing them for adulthood. What preparation are you doing for them? What are you teaching them as a man? What are you teaching them? One thing you're supposed to be teaching them is you're supposed to be teaching them to be better than you were. Better than you were. A better version of you. This is what Yahushua came to do. Remember when he told you, greater works than these you will do? Because he wanted you to be a better version of him. This is what you got to think. This is how men think. This is how men think. This is how men think. You cannot, that book say that the elder, the bishop, because bishop, elder, shepherd, they all the same thing. Pastor, all the same thing. But it's two different words. So if you an elder, you a bishop, you the head of the house, can't be self-willed. Can't be self-willed. See, and this is stuff like this here. Oh, what'll stop a nigga from getting a Raah? Stuff like that. See, niggas overlook that type of stuff. This is why he say, let us go on to perfection. Okay, you stop sinning. Great. Now let's go to perfection and perfect yourself and really take on the nature of Elohim. Let's do that now. Since I said that, let's look at Hebrews chapter 6. And then we'll get that 2 Timothy chapter 2. Because I don't want to talk to you too long. But at the same time, I just want you to think about something. All you got to do is think. Head of the household can't be self-willed. Which take us back to being a Malik. Malik's supposed to serve. I'm sorry, we got to read Luke 17:7. Let me read that first. I apologize. Then we'll go to Hebrews chapter 6. Can't be self-willed. You can't be no head of no household doing what you want to do. Yahushua did not make a single decision doing what he wanted to do. Yahushua made decisions that were effective of his own household, even if it would not be necessarily the thing that he wanted to do. Because that's what the head of a house is going to do. It's going to have the foresight and the vision and the humility to serve those of his household. Because serving those of his household is what's more fulfilling to him than fulfilling his own desires. Ain't that the lesson we supposed to been learning from Mashiach? Are we learning that lesson? See, right now, the whole objective of what we dealing with, we periodically do this, y'all knows, probably about twice a year, sometimes 3. The way we zero in and focus on that. Aren't you tired of being a man? Are you not ready to become a son, a daughter of Elohim? Are you not tired of being a man? Because it's about converting and becoming a son and daughter of Elohim and no longer being a man or a woman. It's about no longer being a son of Adam. It's not about no longer being a daughter of Adam. It's about being a son and daughter of Elohim. And that's going to cause you to take on godly character, godly attributes, and really zero in and pay attention to the experience. See, that's what we mean about the experience. What we were looking at with a bishop is not self-willed. Elder is not self-willed. The head of the house is not self-willed. And we turn around and we look at Yahushua, who said, not my will be done, but thy will be done. And a situation and circumstance where he was placed in a position where he did not want to do something. And he could have sought out to fulfill his own will. But instead he fulfilled the will of his father because he made himself a new heart and a new ruach. Hello? Hello? So, that's what you got to look at. Think about that. You got to think about that. You got to think about that. You just have to think about that. Because that's the experience of Elohim right there. Now you can experience the head. The head was not self-willed. You beheld and you experienced that. And guess what you end up happening when you begin to serve and not seek to be served? You begin to experience the head. You can begin to experience Elohim. See, that's what you talk. See, that's what you talk. That's the stuff like this here. That's digging deeper. When we say digging deeper, the weightier matters of the law. Let's carry something that you can hold, something of some substance. Let's stop sitting. Look here, man. Get off the breast milk and deal with sons of substance and transform your character. which means you would have to stop being complacent. You wouldn't be able to be comfortable. Stuff like this, we've been pointing this out for the last 6 years. Niggas don't pay attention because niggas information whores, knowledge whores, prostitute themselves out to show how much information they can show somebody. But you're not taking on the principle of the character. So therefore you're not experiencing the principle of the character. Therefore you will die like a man. Yah forbid. Nevertheless, Luke 17:7. But which of you, having a servant plowing or feeding cattle, will say unto him by and by, when he is come from the field, go and sit down to meat? And will not rather say unto him, make ready wherewith I may sup, and gird thyself and serve me, till I have eaten and drunken, and afterwards thou shalt eat and drink? Doth he thank that servant because he did the things that were commanded him? I trow not. So likewise, when you have done all those things which are commanded you, saying, we are unprofitable servants, we have done that which was our duty to do. As a man, as a head of a household, it is your duty to serve your wife and your kids. You won't get no benefit or no profit for that, nigga. That's what you're supposed to do. You don't get no props for that, man. You know what I'm saying? If your wife chooses to show her for appreciation as she should, praise the Lamb because you got a good woman. If you as a man know you got a virtuous woman in your household and you want to let her be know that you appreciate what she's doing, praise the Lamb. But at the same token, ain't nobody patting you on your back for doing what you're supposed to do. Because this was the decision you made when you decided you wanted to be the head of a household. That's the decision and the responsibility you decided to take on. See, you shouldn't decide to take on that responsibility because you want a little tickle in your pickle. Because you want a little bit of companionship. Don't take that responsibility until you weigh it out and sit down and count the cost if you got sufficient to pay. Because if not, you don't need to be with nobody. You just need to be their friend and focus on becoming who you need to be in order to get this person where you need to get them. But granted, most of you are young, so you weren't thinking in that fashion at the time. Who knows, if you were, your decision making might have been different. Y'all knows, I don't know. You may know, but y'all knows. But see, this conversation ain't just for y'all. It's for anybody who may see this later who's not married. Specifically for a man. Weigh that responsibility out if you got sufficient to pay and understand what you taking on. You're taking on that you're going to direct, and so you telling this woman, I'm going to serve you for the rest of my life. For the rest of my life, my sole duty in life is to love you as this man loved his wife, to nurture you, to cherish you, to honor you, to respect you, and to guide you by the way of Yahushua HaMashiach as long as I breathe. That I will sufficiently provide for you. And not only that, but we will rear any children that Yahuwah may bless us with in the way of righteousness. Because it said with Abraham, I know him, that he will teach his household justice and judgment in the way of Yahuwah. That's your job as a man. It's your job as a man to teach your children. He didn't say Sarah would teach them. He said Abraham would do it. And then that go to stuff outside the word. That's not your wife's job. Your wife's job, she want to teach them ABCs and 1, 2, 3, bless her heart. If you was any type of man, you would have just as much a hand in them learning their alphabet and being able to read and their numbers as your wife do. Who cares if you work 15 hours a day? So what, nigga? That's your responsibility as a man. You didn't want it, you shouldn't have took it. Straight up. Everything don't fall on her lap. Nobody don't care how many hours you work. You should have thought about that before you want a little tickle in your pickle. You should have thought about it. Because that's your responsibility. Them children, your responsibility. It's your job to teach them. Nowhere in this book they tell you a woman supposed to teach these kids. That don't say that nowhere in here. It always talk about the man supposed to do it. It always talk about a man supposed to do it. As a man, you should want to have pride in wanting to do it. That you the one who instructs your children. You want them to come home stupid? Send them somebody else? Because let's just say you're not a maven of learning. That's where the complacency come in. When those children motivate you to be a better man, to the point where you feel like that you would have to branch out of your comfort zone and to seek out information and learn new things so they could become a better version of you. Don't you think that's what that should do? Shouldn't that be a motivating factor for you? I ain't always like to learn. I ain't always like to do this here. I got a son now. I got a daughter now. I gotta do it because I'm doing it for them. See, that service right there, that's not being self-willed. Self-willed is, shoot, my wife will teach him. I don't like to learn. I don't want to teach him nothing. That's self-willed because you think about yourself. Love in essence is to think about someone other than yourself. I know that's true. Come on over here to 2 Timothy chapter 2. That's what Yahuwah did. He so loved you, he gave his only son. His son loved you so much, he gave his life. That not one time did they think about themselves. They thought about you. After we read 2 Timothy chapter 2 and verse 6. I think it's verse 6 that I want. Yeah, it is. We'll back it up to verse 2 though. It was something in my head and it just slid right out as I was saying that. So you were willing to come back, and if not, oh well. The things that thou heard of me among many witnesses, the same commit thou to faithful men who shall be able to teach others also. Thou therefore endure hardness as a good soldier of Yahushua HaMashiach. No man that war entangle himself with the affairs of this life, that he may please him who have chosen him to be a soldier. And if a man also strive for mastery, yet he is not crowned, except he strive lawfully. The husbandman that labor must be first partaker of the fruits. Why did we read that? We read that because we talking about how a shepherd causes you to experience or behold the experience of the head. You cannot cause anyone to behold that experience until first you have partook of the fruit. You got to partake of the word first yourself before you could even dare think that you could cause anyone. That's why we don't be effective as a whole, as a people, in trying to impart this word to people, because we have not first partook of the experience ourselves. And then we're trying to impart the experience unto others, but they're not seeing the experience in you. So therefore it's not motivating them to partake. See, you gotta understand something, right? A dude will want his family members or a woman he's interested in to partake in the word with him. Then when they start dating this woman, or they family members don't look at him as seriously, they wonder why. It's because of you. It's your seriousness and your desire for righteousness and your behavior, which is not necessitating necessary. And this is not the case in every case, because some people are serious about what they got going on, and the people that they're dealing with are not. So, but we just talk about in general, because this is how they go down. These people not serious about it because you're not. See, you got to ask yourself a question. If sinners try you, or if people who sin and feel comfortable with you, but man, it's like this here, right? Because we just had a conversation, because it was several of us at one particular point in time all held the same side occupation, and niggas was having stories about how women were trying them. And the question you had to ask yourself is, because how these niggas getting tried? I never got tried like that. So why did you get tried like that? No matter what it is in life, people try you by how you carry yourself. See, you could be incarcerated, right? And a nigga won't try you. And you know why they won't try you? Because you carry yourself like a man. If you carry yourself like a man, you'll be respected as a man. If you carry yourself like a weakling and a coward, people can notice that, they see it, and they will try you. You know what I'm saying? And it's the same token. If you carry yourself in a righteous, upright fashion, people will not try you like that. They're trying you because whatever vibe or demeanor you're giving off, they're not receiving righteousness and uprightness from you. This is why they feel comfortable enough to try you. Now, caveat, some people will try you regardless of how you carry yourself, because some people have no respect. So let me throw that in there. But for the most part in life, people's dealings with you is based off how you carry yourself. So if you find yourself getting tried by people who are ungodly, you got to ask yourself, how are you carrying yourself to make them feel comfortable enough that they could come at you like that? A woman who carries herself with respect is very rarely treated with disrespect with men when she is in public. Women who carry themselves or dress like a whore seem to always get treated or spoken to like one. Does that give men a reason or a rhyme to do such a thing? No, it does not. It doesn't stop it though. Because it's based on how you carry yourself. If you carry yourself in a godly fashion, you'll be treated as such. And you ain't never got to tell these people what you believe or what you stand on or not. You ain't got to do none of that. Carry yourself like a sinner or a worldly person and they'll treat you like one. You carry yourself with lack of respect and you'll be treated with lack of respect. You carry yourself with respect and you'll be treated with respect. It's just how people are. You have to look at that. Because people try what they think. People try you when they think they can have success. People don't try you when they don't think they can have success. They're not even going to try you. So if they try you, you need to look at yourself before you go looking at them. You need to look at yourself first. I ain't saying you're doing nothing wrong. I ain't saying you're doing nothing right. All I'm saying is look at yourself first. As the text tells you to do. Nevertheless, let's continue. Ezekiel chapter 34. Because we talking about feeding the flock, so things of that nature. And the word flock is the same word for flock, is the same word for sheep. Sion, which is the sod and the my memory is bad. We already talked about that, but you know it's the desire for the seed of life. And the aleph and the noon. I sure hope y'all got a desire for the strength of life. I hope you do. Yahushua did. He did so much he gave his life for it. So that we can have life. I hope that's where your desire lay at. Because if it don't, you got a problem. You ain't going to be able to get to where you want to go. See, Ezekiel 34 and 2. We're just trying to get you where you need to go. And for you to consider. You can do whatever you want. That's for certain. I can't dictate what grown people do. You can do whatever you want. I will hope that what you would want to do is to serve Yah. Son of man, prophecy against the shepherds of Yasharal, prophecy and say unto them, thus saith Yahuwah Elohim unto the shepherds, woe be to the shepherds of Yasharal that do feed themselves. Should not the shepherds feed the flocks? You see that right there? You see that right there? You see how that goes in to how he told you that a shepherd in Timothy couldn't be self-willed? Because the prophet Ezekiel had already told you. Should not a shepherd feed the flock and not feed himself? Shouldn't you be selfless? Shouldn't you serve? See, we're going to get to something with that in a moment. This is why I took this track. Because that's why we read that in Luke 22. And I said, we'll take our time. It ain't no rush. Y'all willing, we got a whole nother day. Or another part of the day. To complete this particular task. Because I know Will got more for this particular task. Who are willing next week. If it's not this, whichever week he said he was going to do. I can't remember mine bad. So, think about that. Shepherd's supposed to feed the flock, not feed itself. Think about that in regards to you as a man in your household. You're supposed to feed your house, not the house feed you. You're supposed to serve them, not them serve you. Now, of course, we know that the wife serve her husband, and you know what I'm saying? You understand? But we understand that. But we're talking about period, though. As a man, the best way to have influence, the best way to lead and to have influence is to serve. Period. Best way you're going to get it. It's the best way you're going to get it. It's the best way you're going to be able to have influence. Why did Yahushua have such an influence upon those who believe? Because it behooved him to be made like unto his brethren, that he might be a faithful and merciful high priest in the things pertaining to the reconciliation of the people of Elohim. He came and partook in your experience. Therefore it was easy. And then when he partook, he said, I didn't come to be ministered unto. I came unto minister and to make my life a ransom for many. He said, I am your Lord and Master, have washed your feet. If I have washed your feet, you ought to also wash one another's feet. Blessed are ye if you do this. This is the example, he said, that he came to serve. Therefore, this is how he's able to have the level of influence in which he has. So you can't have a level of influence on no woman you ain't willing to serve her. And when we talking about a woman, I ain't just talking about your wife. If you understand what I'm saying unto you. Go look in history. Look at some of the greatest, most influential people in the history of mankind, whether they were in the word or not. And you will see the reason why they had such a level of influence is that they served their constituency. They served their constituency. Therefore, that caused these people to run through walls for these people. Because they knew that what they were asking them to do or directing them to do, that they would do it as well. See, that's what he means when he says, don't call nobody master, because you're all brethren. Because even though he's the head of you, this man is serving you and serving alongside of you. You understand what I'm saying? But see, niggas take that and run with that because niggas hate authority because they wicked and they proud. And we'll read that in a moment. But just let that be known. He said, you eat the fat and you clothe with the wool and you kill them that are fed, but you feed not the flock. He said, you're not feeding those who have desire for the strength of life. See, how can you even say you are an individual who can cause one to behold the experience of the head, but yet you don't have a desire for the strength of life, nor are you trying to give anybody the desire of the strength of life? Pause. Matthew 23:9. We'll come back to Ezekiel 34. Because there's so many layers to this conversation that we having. We could take it to Mashiach. We could take it to individual preachers. We could take it however you want to take it. We could take it to a man, to his household. We could take it as many different ways to impart this wisdom and understanding that needs to be imparted unto us at this time. Many different ways to impart it. But the number one key thing from just the one matter we focus on right now is you can't be no head of no house and be selfish. Can't do it. Can't do it. Can't do it. You can get married and be selfish. You surely can. You won't effectively lead your household. I can tell you that. Not over an extended period of time. That woman will resent you over time. It may not happen in a year. It may not happen in 5. It'll happen in 10. It'll happen in 15. That woman will hate your guts by the time she leaves this planet. Hate your guts. She'll love you. She ain't gonna leave you. She'll still cook your food for you. She'll still do all that. She won't stand you though. She'll thank the Lamb every time you leave her presence. The time she got to talk to you is gonna be minimal as possible. The time she got to spend with you is gonna be. This don't happen overnight. This happen over years. It ain't gonna happen overnight. You ain't got to believe it. You'll believe it when it happen though. When one day she blow up and tell you, I can't stand you, you selfish, no good man. And your heart gonna be broke because you thought you was the best thing since sliced bread. Because you thought your doodle didn't stink. Because you didn't realize how self-absorbed and selfish you were. That's why you never realized it, because you were so self-absorbed. You were just so concerned with yourself and what you had going on and what you wanted to do that you could never even caught nor paid attention. This woman hated your guts. Never even caught and paid attention to it. Don't want to go out like that. Or the worst case scenario, you come home from work one day and got a Dear John letter. That's a TV show if y'all know what that is. Dang, the main character of the show with John came home, wife left him a letter. Say, nigga, I'm gone. I'm gone. Don't come looking for me. Took the kids with me too. He was sitting in there looking sick, wondering what happened. Why she left me. I was good to her. I did this here and did that there. But you just didn't take care of that woman's heart like you were supposed to. As the same thing that Yahushua did. He take care of us. Not just naturally, but he take care of who we are inwardly. This is the aspect of what we talking about, from going being a man to being a son of God. Your mind frame changes, which means your character changes, which means your spirit changes, which means your heart changes, which means your life changes. And that's all we after. Then you can actually experience Elohim. And when you experience him, you'll see that there's nothing like it. And you wouldn't dare desire anything else. And we still got Hebrews chapter 6 on deck. But Matthew chapter 23, we won't pick this up at verse 13. My apologies. Verse 6. It says, and they loved the uppermost rooms at the feasts, and the chief seats in the synagogues, and greetings in the markets, to be called of men, Rabbi, Rabbi. But be ye not called Rabbi, for one is your master, even Mashiach, and you are all brethren. And call no man your Abba upon the earth, for one is your Abba which is in Shamahim. Neither be ye called masters, for one is your master, even Mashiach. But he that is greatest among you shall be your servant. Whosoever shall exalt himself shall be abased. He that shall humble himself shall be exalted. But woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, for you shut up the kingdom of Shamahim against men. For you neither go in yourselves, neither suffer ye them that are entering to go in. Woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, for you devour widows' houses, and for pretense make long prayer. Therefore you shall receive the greater damnation. Woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, for you compass sea and land to make one proselyte, and when he is made, you make him twofold more the child of hell than yourselves. So you notice something that Mashiach just stated right here, right? These scribes and Pharisees, who he's speaking of, have not experienced the head. They have failed to experience this. So therefore, they're not trying to cause others to experience this. And because of this, you breed wicked children. Also, you notice how he said that they want to be seen in men and to be called rabbi, and don't call nobody all this here. Because he told you that even though, if he told Peter, you the rock, upon the rock which I build this house, and I've given unto you the keys to death and hell, then these men had positions of authority and rulership. But even in the midst of that, he told them to serve, because this is the example that he set. We go to 1 Peter chapter 5 right now. First Peter chapter 5 and verse 1. Again, the elder is the Raah, the head of the house. They're the head of the house. Elder ain't got nothing to do with age. Just the head of the house. The elders which are among you I exhort, whom also am an elder, and a witness of the sufferings of Mashiach, and also a partaker of the esteem that should be revealed. Feed the flock of Elohim which is among you, taking the oversight thereof, not by constraint, but willingly, not for filthy lucre, but of a ready mind. Remember how we read that in 1 Corinthians 9 on Wednesday? When Paul say, I do this thing willingly. Say necessity or charge has been laid onto me. I've been given a responsibility. See, when you're given a responsibility to preach the word, you have to do that willingly. And you have to be willing to feed the people who have a desire for the strength of life. See, everybody in every congregation don't have a desire for the strength of life. That's just the reality. It is what it is. You know what I'm saying? But then you have to sit back and look at, if you're a man in a household, if you're a husband in a household, then you need to willingly serve your household. If you're not skillful enough to teach the word, that's cool. That's not a big deal. There's ways that you could deal with that. You can impart the information you know. Or most importantly, if you can't open up the text to impart the information, number one, don't try to struggle and stress yourself to do something if Yahuwah is not giving you that ability to do so. But most importantly, you can direct your household in the way of Elohim with your actions and how you live if you can't open no text up. That was the purpose why the people gathered up for Kadesh convocations in the first place, was to be taught of the word anyhow. You know what I'm saying? But you have to be willing to serve your household. You have to be willing to do it. That means you have to stop putting what you want to the front. Because I promise you. Hold on. Hello? Hello? So, I promise you this. If you put your wife and your kids' desires before yours, they will gladly put your desires before theirs. You know why they'll gladly do it? Because of the example that you set, and that's the influence that you'll have on your household. If your wife wouldn't reciprocate that back, it's because you got a wicked woman, and you should have had enough wisdom to know that before you chose her. And consequently, if your husband wouldn't do that, you got a slothful and wicked man, and you might have should have thought about that before you chose him. One thing for certain, two things for sure. Don't pick no man based off how he look. Definitely don't pick no man based off of how, well, hopefully you wouldn't have done that there, but how good he make you feel in your loins. But you should pick a man based off his character and his ability to direct you in the direction, to help manifest the vision for your life that you have, to see does he share that same eyesight and vision. Because if you don't even have a vision for what you want to do with your life and where you want to go, then this man wouldn't be able to help. You don't want to be with somebody whose vision for life is diametrically opposed to yours, because you're always going to have conflict. You're always going to butt heads because you're trying to go one way and he's trying to go another. That's why you're supposed to have those type of conversations. Those are adult conversations. Now, where you want to go? What movie you want to see? That's cool. That shouldn't dominate your conversation. If you're talking about we seriously want to be married. If you're just friends, then cool. If you're dating, then yeah, you need to have a conversation. You need to have a real conversation. Real conversation. You need to find out what type of time this person is on and what they want for their life. How they want to raise their kids. How you want to raise your kids. How you feel about saving money. How they feel about saving money. Are you into entrepreneurship? Are they into entrepreneurship? Do they want to work a job and get a 401k? None of these things are negative, if anything that I mentioned. But they have to line up with your ideals of where you see you want your life going. Because this is your partner in life. This is your partner in crime. This is what you mean. You're going to share your entire life with this person. You want to be on the same page. You want to share the same ideals. You want to share the same objectives. Therefore, you can work in unison and be able to bring them to pass. Which, when you take that to the word, Yahuwah is drawing people to his son that share the same objectives as him and his son share. Because they can work in unison in order to make these things come to pass. Because they share the same ideals. They share the same objectives. It's easier to do it in that fashion versus going off the lust of your eyes and the pride of your heart and making decisions. Nevertheless, verse 3 of 1 Peter chapter 5. Neither as being masters over Elohim's heritage, but being ensamples to the flock. And when the chief shepherd shall appear, you shall receive a crown of esteem that fade not away. See, he said it's being an ensample. So if he's being an ensample, it's because he has already partook in this experience. Let's come back to Ezekiel 34. I got a lot to do, a little bit of time. Seems like that's the case every single solitary week. But praise Yahuwah Elohim for the word nonetheless. We've got to crank it up a little bit. Just a little bit. I just want you to consider, you ain't got to do nothing but just consider. You got to do his thing. Even if you already married, y'all need to sit down and have real conversations. What is the direction that we going? What is it you trying to accomplish? Well, baby, what it is you trying? Ask your wife, well, what it is you trying to accomplish? What it is you want to accomplish? How can I help you facilitate that? Okay, she asked you, well, baby, what you trying to accomplish? How can I help you facilitate that? What is the vision for the family? What is the goal? What is the end game? Oh, we just here just to be here. For me to cook meals and toot my butt in the air, and you for go to work and come home. Is that what we here for? Is that what our life has become? What happened to all our dreams when we were children? You forgot about them because you grew up and got horny or got lonely, and you stopped thinking rationally. Ezekiel chapter 34, verse 11. But thus saith Yahuwah Elohim, behold, I, even I, will both search out my sheep and seek them out, as a shepherd seek out his flock in the day that he is among his sheep that are scattered. So will I seek out my sheep and deliver them out of the places where they have been scattered in the cloudy and dark day. You notice how he say a shepherd got to seek out his sheep? Let's go to Matthew chapter 9. Shepherd got to seek out his sheep. He got to go find them. He got to go get them. He got to seek them out, and he got to feed them, and all that good stuff like that right there, you know. We want to pick ourselves up in verse 32 of Matthew chapter 9. Because at the end of the day, like you said, you want to be in samples to those who have a desire for eternal life. Be an example to your children. Just like the shepherd is being told to be an example to his children, because he's the head of the house. Be an example. Show forth the long suffering and the mercy and the compassion and the faith and the love of Elohim and the joy and the shalom. Show that example. The example that you can show by your actions can be much greater than the example that you show by your words, or what you try to teach unto someone. If they can actually see the experience, if you can cause them to be a partaker of the experience. As they went out, behold, they brought to him a dumb man possessed with a devil. And when the devil was cast out, the dumb spake, and the multitudes marveled, saying, it was never so seen in Yasharal. But the Pharisees said, he cast out devils through the prince of devils. Yahushua went about all the cities and villages, teaching in their synagogues and preaching the Besorah of the kingdom and healing every sickness and every disease among the people. So again, with this here, with him healing this here, we look at another example of them causing them to behold the experience of the head. Because if you read in Isaiah 35, it tell you how he healed the lame and the dumb and things of that nature. And now what they actually are beholding in that experience is they're beholding the mercy of Elohim. This is what the shepherd is doing. The shepherd is causing them to behold the mercy of Elohim. Not just behold the mercy of Elohim by manifesting of preaching of the word, but manifesting and showing, as it says in Acts chapter 10, he went about doing good, healing all those who were oppressed of the devil. Because surely oppression make a wise man mad. So when you see people who are in an oppressed state, in a low state, Yahushua did not seek to feed himself and to gain anything off of the people. He sought to go forth and to serve the people. So therefore he caused them to behold the experience of Elohim, which would take us back to what we talked about in Exodus chapter 34, with the mercy or the rakim or the experience of eternal life. And this would cause the people to have a desire to the strength of life, which is to have a desire to the Father in heaven, whose name is Yahuwah. Because of the experience, because they watched him do this. You understand what I'm saying? The same way that he sat back and said, not my will be done, but thy will be done. They watched him not be self-willed. You were able to behold that experience. They watched him get up on that stake and die. They watched him stay up there on that stake when he could have easily came down from it. They watched that. They behold the experience of a selfless man who came to serve and to make his life a ransom for many. That is what a shepherd is supposed to do. You're supposed to be able to see that experience, to see that sacrifice, to see that righteousness, to see that mercy, to see that compassion, to see that gentleness, to see that goodness, to see that faith. That's how you experience something. You don't experience something from somebody telling you. You experience something from somebody showing you. You experience something by living it. That's how you experience something. That's how you become in communion with the Ruach HaKodesh. You can't come into communion with the Ruach HaKodesh simply by knowing something. You have to. Why do you think he told you faith without works is dead? This man actually experienced the work of faith by his actions. How else you gonna do it? How else you gonna do it? How many times the master said, if you don't believe me for my words, believe me for my work's sake? I done showed you the experience. What more do you want me to do? It was never good enough. Continuing on. But when he saw the multitude, he was moved with compassion on them because they fainted and were scattered abroad and as sheep having no shepherd. Remember what we talked about? We started with number 27, right? He said, don't let them be as sheep having no shepherd. Don't let these people who have a desire for life don't have anyone that can cause them to behold the experience of Elohim. He said, this is what Moses prayed. Please don't do them like that. Let somebody go before them that can give them the words of eternal life. They ain't got nobody to do it for them. So guess what Mashiach turned around and said after that? Then saith he unto his disciples, the harvest truly is plenteous, but the labors are few. Pray ye therefore the master of the harvest, that he will send forth laborers into his harvest. So he just sat back and said that you would pray. That you should pray that he send people to cause the people to experience Elohim. Praise Yah for salvation and mercy. Because that goes back to what we looked at in Ecclesiastes chapter 12. You understand? That goes back to what we looked at in Ecclesiastes chapter 12. Let's look at it right now. We still holding Hebrew chapter 6. I'm gonna get to it. I'm working my way to something, I promise. I got 2 sessions to do it. I don't want to try to pull it over into the week following. I'm trying not to. I hope I'm not going to do that. That's my hope. I'm hoping that everybody understands. We still got a couple more words to hit. We may not get them all, but we got a couple more words to hit. Ecclesiastes 12 and 9. Moreover, because the preacher was wise, he still taught the people knowledge. Yea, he gave good heed. Notice, he listened. He gave good heed. So immediately when you hear that, you got to remember, my Father gave me a commandment, what I should say and what I should speak, and I know his commandment is life everlasting. He said, let us give the more earnest heed to the things that we have heard, lest they should slip. See, because if you give good heed, then you already know that that's the Shema. You're hearing with the intent to do. See, our problem is we hearing with the intent to repeat. See, that's our problem. We're hearing with the intent to repeat. We're hearing with the intent to tell somebody else what you just heard. But you're not hearing with the intent to actually do it for yourself. See, remember what we read about Ezra. He said that he was a ready scribe. And he sought to do the statutes of Yahuwah and to teach them. But he sought to do them first. Before he even thought about teaching to anybody else, he thought to teach them to himself. Let me put this into action and practice first. Then I could be able to impart this to another person. Because what benefit are you to anyone else if you can't even be a benefit to yourself? How can I teach a woman to be just and upright and I'm putting my penis in her vagina and she's not my wife? How? How can I teach someone to be a wise and understanding man, but I'm drunk all the time? I'm high all the time. How? How can I tell someone to be a selfless servant when I'm a selfish bastard? How? How do we expect our women to be what we want them to be when anytime it's time to talk about what a woman is supposed to do, we're all ears and rah, rah, rah. But when it's time to talk about what a man's supposed to do, you're indifferent and lack focus and attention. When anything that's dictated amongst the nation of people is always dictated by the leadership and the thought process of the men of that particular people. So that means as a man, we would have to stand up and take the full responsibility of what it is to be a man, to direct our households in righteousness, verity, and truth. And that in all things our Elohim is esteemed, and our children are taught and directed correctly. And we set examples amongst our people wherever we go. And that you may not even have to open your mouth one time and say you serve Yahuwah, because it would be evident by how you move. See, niggas want to sit back and show forth they the servants of Yahuwah by wearing t-shirts with his name in Paleo Hebrew, hats and chains, and I have no problem with that. I'm just making a point. Fringes and locks. armbands and staffs. Nigga, that don't mean nothing. In the grand scheme of things, that means absolutely nothing. Nigga, that's for sure. That don't mean nothing. Because somebody identify you as a servant of Yahuwah without all of that. Because if that's what you need to be identified as a servant of Yahuwah, we all going to hell. Let's just be real. We all going to hell. We're not going to make it. We're not going to make it. Because we just playing around. We doing it for show. It's outward instead of inward. How is this possible? Do you not know that the word ahab, that when we sit back and you look at it, the word for love is the strength that's in the inward parts? It's the strength that resides inside. Just think about that. The strength that resides inside. Because it ain't nothing but the olive, the hay, and the bot. Behold the strength of the house. What is the strength of the house? Anything that's not of faith is sin. Trust in Yah is everlasting strength. If you love Yah, you can behold that strength that's inside of you, that's inside your heart. Because you in Mashiach and Mashiach is in you. And if it's in your heart, you got the lead, which ain't nothing but the mind and the body. That's teaching you to come in the house. How else you going to be taught to get in the house? But by faith. That's the only way you're going to get in the house. Because you loved him and you kept his commandments. Because that strength was in your inward parts. He told you he desired wisdom in the inward parts. He desired truth in the inward parts. A firmness, a fidelity, a faithfulness in your heart. That's what he desired. All that other stuff don't mean nothing. I don't care how many Yahuwah chains you got on. I don't care how many Yahuwah t-shirts you wear. How many Yahuwah hats you got on. I don't care how long you grow your locks. I don't care how big your fringes are and how bright your border of blue is. You still gonna go to hell if you ain't mastered that. And you gonna wonder why you there. Well, I had my fringes and my capris and my lock. Why I ain't get in? Because you ain't have it in, stupid. That's why you didn't get in. Because you did it wrong, dummy. Nevertheless, he said he sought out and set in order many proverbs. The preacher sought out to find out acceptable words, and that which was written was upright, even words of truth. The words of the wise are as gold, and as nails fastened by the master of assemblies, which are given from one shepherd. One shepherd give thee word that will fasten that are nails fastened by a master of a house. See, those words of those wise are motivators. They come from one Raah, one man that causes you to behold the experience of Elohim. I say it would be quite necessary for us to delve into, let's look at our shepherd. First, let's establish that he says he's a shepherd, even though we know that he is. We're going to read it on general principle, and then we're going to sit back and look at how he calls you to behold the experience of Elohim. And if we could sit back and see how he calls us to behold the experience of Elohim, it would behoove us to emulate it. Now, wouldn't it? John chapter 10. Let's begin then. I got another part. You know what? Before I do that, Genesis 49 and 22. Let me do that first. I think that would be the better track for us to take. Praise Yahuwah for the word. I really believe that would be the better track for us to take. And that's the track we're going to take. Genesis 49 and 22. That's what we're going to do. Yeah, that's not what we're going to do. Some of these things we're going to paraphrase into this, and some things we will not. Nevertheless, because I got another part that I want to deal with, and that's dealing with the lost sheep. And I may not get to that part until on tomorrow, Yahuwah willing, only because of the dealing with give me a second, catch my thoughts. It's a different word for sheep, and I don't want to cross these words right now tonight in this conversation. 49:22. Yosaf is a fruitful bow, even a fruitful bow by a well. His branches run over a wall. Y'all know what a fruitful bow is. If you don't know what a bow is, that's a branch. You go read John 15, he tell you, I'm the vine, my father the husbandman, and I'm the true vine, and ye are the branches. And if you abide in me, and I in you, you bring forth much fruit. Which should also take you back to thinking about what? Aaron's rod that budded, because it brought forth fruit. So we sit back and look at that. Elohim is taking away my sin. Is a fruitful bow. He produces. What does that take us back to producing? What we talked about last week, where you seen a multitude of people standing before the throne which no man could number, because these were the fruit that came out of this branch. Because these were those who came through our great tribulation and had made their robes white through the blood of the Lamb, and they loved their own life, and they didn't love their lives even unto the death. See, Yahushua didn't love his life. He was willing to sacrifice it. You got to be willing to do the same. See, that's another example of experiencing the head. To behold the experience of the head. Because your head loved you enough to die. He didn't love his life. You understand what I'm telling you? When he told you that you had to hate your own life also, and he that hateth his life in this world will gain it unto life eternal. See, he calls you to experience that because he did it. So then when you look at it as a man and you directing a household, you can't love your own life. See, the minute I'm going to tell you something, another experience here. Because some of these things I'm paraphrasing. Some of y'all should know the stories. And if you don't, you just let me know and we'll go find them. You sit back and you look at it as you look at your God, right? You look at your husband. Your husband ain't look at another woman. He ain't look at another woman. He didn't entertain another woman. He only had the apple of his eye. He told you that in the book of Jeremiah. You're the apple of my eye. He only had eyes for one woman. That woman was Yasharah. She was a delicate woman. But over time, that delicate woman opened her feet to everybody that passed by. And you know what he did? Still had eyes only for that one woman. That man said, you know what? I got a people seeking after me that are not called by my name. And I stretch forth my hands every day to a rebellious people who do things that are not good, who go by their own thoughts. And I still only got eyes for them. So as a man, you ain't got no business entertaining no other woman other than your wife, because that's the experience that your Elohim gave. He ain't entertained no other woman. He ain't do that. That's not his work. He only entertained one. He told them other nations, you can become a partaker with my wife, but you still gonna be a part of my wife, because I only got one wife. Her name Yasharah. As ye are, so shall the stranger shall be. Because I ain't entertaining no other woman, because I only got one wife. I don't entertain them. That's not what I do. I only got one. I don't entertain nobody. I don't do that. That's not my thing. See how he calls you to experience the head? Because when he came, what did he tell that woman? I ain't something but unto the lost sheep of the house of Yasharah. I ain't entertaining no other woman. I only got one woman I'm entertaining. She's saying you, being a Yahudim, don't have no dealings with the Samaritan. He say, woman, you don't know what we worship. We know what we worship. For salvation is of the Yahudim. I only got one wife. I only entertain one woman. I don't know nothing about no other woman. I don't know what you talking about. Who, what, when, where, and how. That's what we talking about. You talking about experience. Behold the experience of the head. That is the experience that he gave you. This is why when he sit back and tell you that you sit back, that the bishop is the husband of one wife. Taking you back to the beginning. Because Adam was the first head of the household. He was the first elder. He was the first head of the household. He only had one wife. He ain't entertained another woman. Abraham was the father of the household of the faith. The first head of the household. And guess how many wives he had? He only had one. And he ain't entertained another woman. Not another. Not till Sarah died, and then he entertained another. This is what it means to experience, to behold the experience of the head. Look here, the first head of the household of mankind is Adam. That's the experience. The first head, the household of the faith. The first head of the household of the faith is Abraham. Go look at it, read it, behold the experience. So it's quite natural when you see Yahushua step on the scene being the head of the household. And since I'm mentioning that, pull to Genesis 49 and go to Hebrews chapter 3. When you're looking at the head of the household, he only entertained one woman, his wife. And that's it. He didn't nurture no other woman but his wife. He didn't feed no other woman but his wife. One thing for certain, two things for sure. You can't do nothing for nobody till you make sure your household straight. Your household ain't straight, you can't help nobody else. Your household got to be straight. I can tell you, like I said, I wasn't even married to this nigga. Clearly, because y'all know I ain't married. I wasn't even married to this nigga. And I can remember I was getting this nigga so much word that Lil Muffin came to me and said where ours was at. Because that's just where my mind was at the time. This is like 2011. Late 2011, early 2012. Lil Muffin like this here. No, actually it was more so 2012. Lil Muffin like this here. Well, where's ours at? Because I was more focused on making sure this nigga get right. If the eventuality is that I'm gonna marry this nigga, what good is it gonna do if y'all on point and this nigga stupid? Or y'all on point and her understanding life. My duty was to nurture her first. Then I can help you out. But before anybody else get it, she gotta get it first. Ain't that what the book say? To the Yahudim first, then to the Gentile. So before anybody get anything, your household supposed to get it first. And I still live by that to this day. If I'm dealing with a woman, she'll get it before everybody else do it. She gonna get it for everybody else. If I had something in my brain to hit and I'm married, my wife will probably hear it before y'all do. She'll hear it before y'all do because she gonna catch it first. That's just natural. Hebrews 3:1. Wherefore, Kadesh brethren, partakers of the calling of Shamahim, consider the apostle and high priest of our profession, Yahushua HaMashiach, who was faithful to him that appointed him, also as Moses was faithful in all his house. For this man was counted worthy of more esteem than Moses, inasmuch as who had built the house have more honor than the house. For every house is builded by some man, but he that built all things is Elohim. And Moses truly was faithful in all his house as a servant for a testimony to those things, which would it be spoken after. But Mashiach as a son over his own house, whose house are we? If we hold fast the confidence and rejoicing of hope, firm unto the end. Say, we his house. And you better believe he take care of his house first. For he can get it. That's why the book say that. To the Yahudim first and also to the Gentile. I'm feeding my house before I feed anybody. Anybody. My old lady getting it for anybody. You know what I'm talking about? Period. If I'm dating a woman, she gonna get it for anybody. If it, like I said, she gonna get it before anybody. She's gonna get it first. She's gonna get it first. Period. That's just understanding the word. That's just understanding the experience of Elohim. That's what he did. That's what he did. So that's what you turn around and do. Because you look at the experience that he did and you emulate it. That's how you become perfect. That's how you become complete. But you have to have the desire for that emulation. You got to have the understanding to see that, to understand that experience. Genesis 49. Verse 23. The archers have sorely grieved him and shot at him and hated him. You can read John 15:22. You know how they hated him. You know how they shot at him. You can read John 11 for that, how they shot at him. You can read Luke 12, how they shot at him. You can read Matthew 26, how they shot at him. Verse 24. But his bow abode in strength, and the arms of his hands were made strong by the hands of the mighty Elohim of Jacob. From thence is the shepherd, the stone of Yasharal, even by the Elohim of thy Abba, who shall help thee, and by the Almighty, who shall baruch thee with baruchings of Shamahim, above baruchings of the deep that lie under, baruchings of the breast and of the womb. The baruchings of thy Abba have prevailed above baruchings of my progenitors, unto the utmost bound of the everlasting hills. They shall be on upon the head of Yosaph, and the crown of the head of him that was separate from his brethren. It was a lot of stuff contained in that. It was a lot of stuff, you know. A lot of promises made right there. A lot of prophecy going on. I don't know how them niggas get Puerto Ricans out of that, but they do. And I'm not trying to be funny or humorous at this moment. I'm being ever so serious. I do not know how they got Puerto Ricans out of that, but they do. But they do. But they do. But when we look at his bow, a bow in strength, we get the word athon. And it's something that is perpetual, it's constant, it's perennial, it's ever flowing, it's permanent, it's strong, it's strength. Good stuff like that. And the characters that we get from that is an olive, and a yod, and a tau, and a noon. So what we get from that is we got the head and the hand and the mark of the seed is what we get from that. Hand, the head or the strength of the hand and the mark of the seed, or the covenant of the seed, however you want to look at it. That's the strength that we get from that. But we also want to look at another strength. So we want to go to Genesis chapter 25 and we want to look at verse 23 because we want to look at another setback of being strong. So again, when he say his bow, you should go look at Genesis chapter 9 and see that that bow is what? A covenant. It can be symbolized of a covenant if we flip back and we look at it in that aspect. Now the word for bow in this particular word is simply a bow, is kasheth, and it also can be referring to a rainbow and a bow, a figure of might, or this, that, there, and the third. But we know that rainbow was symbolic of a covenant. So we can look at his covenant abode in strength, which is the strength of the hand of the mark of the seed. What is the strength of the hand which marked that seed? We have to ascertain that now, wouldn't we? Let's go to Genesis 25 and 23. Yahuwah said unto her, 2 nations are in thy womb, 2 manner of people shall be separated from thy bowels, and the one people shall be stronger than the other people, and the elder shall serve the younger. Now the head of the household is going to serve the younger. When we look at the word stronger in this particular passage, we get the word amatz, and that's someone who is brave, who is stout, who is bold, who is courageous, who is firm, who is assured, who is determined, who has strengthened oneself, who has confirmed oneself, and one who is proved to be superior. When we look at what characters that we would pull for this particular word, of course, you know, if we got the olive yet again, we got the ma'im, we have the tau, and you have the shan. So we have the head, we have water, we have a mark, and we have destruction or consumed. So what can we sit there and we think about that when we look at this amatz? We can sit back and look at how the ruach will consume the strength or the head to bring forth this covenant. How was he consumed? This man was consumed by the word. He was consumed by the word, therefore he showed his courageousness to stand firm or to deal with the afflictions or persecutions of which he had to suffer. But what we're looking at is when we see 2 manner of people are separated and one has this manner of strength. The same reason why I'm pulling this word out is because Joseph was separated from his brothers, as we just read. And his covenant abode in a manner of strength, which caused a mark to be established. Let me reread that so I don't tell you that wrong. So when we see that this strength of this right hand caused a mark of a seed, we see the sit back and see, we see the ruach destroying the head to bring forth a mark. Well, that's what you son. That's definitely what you son, sir. It's definitely what you got there. So yeah, that's what you got there, sir. How many characters we got on there? Let me just look at it again. We already got it up there. Yeah, I don't know where you got that from. Well, don't worry about that, Miami people. We just got the destruction of the head to bring forth a covenant, which makes that even better and even simpler. So, what's the direction that we want to take? Yeah, I noticed that. Yeah, I noticed that, sir. I do notice that. Yeah, you are correct on that. There's definitely nothing there for you, sir. You're definitely correct. So, let's begin then. Let's look at how his bow abides in his strength, so that we can look at this experience. Because when we're looking at his bow abide in his strength, this is what caused him to be the shepherd and the stone, to get these blessings that were above, and the blessings of the deep underneath, and the blessings of the breast and of the womb, and have a blessing that was past his progenitors, so that that crown could lay upon him. Let's begin then. Let's begin to look at this experience of how this bow or this covenant rested in us. Let's turn around and begin to look at the experience of our Savior. Which place would we like to begin in? I'm in Mark chapter 10, so let's look at Mark chapter 9 and verse 33. And let's look at that first part right there. Let's begin there. Mark 9 and 33. And let's begin to look at how he caused us to behold that experience. When we look at both aspects of being made strong, is bringing forth the covenant of Elohim. And we look at the destruction, and we look at how the covenant or the destruction of the head brings forth the covenant, it's going to sit back to be able that you have to destroy your mortal body, your carnal mind to be made immortal. That's what you're going to have to do to bring forth this covenant. You're going to have to be born again. If you're going to be that amatz, to be that seed that was separated, two nations separated, and one be stronger than the other, that's what makes you stronger than the people in the world, because they refuse to do that. Then if you look at the bow that's abiding in that strength, if we're going to look at it in regards to that, then again it's going to be that same process of bringing in that covenant. The same process of the strength of thy right hand, which marks that seed. What is your strength? Your strength is your faith in Yahuwah. Your faith in Yahuwah. He that believe on me, as the scripture has said, out of his belly shall flow rivers of living water. This he spake of the Ruach HaKodesh, that those that believe on his name should receive. That is your strength. Your faith is your strength. Your joy in Yahuwah is your strength. Trust in Yahuwah is everlasting strength. These are your strength. And both of these things are fruits of the Ruach. Both of these things are the manifestation of the evidence that the Ruach HaKodesh exists in a man. Because the fruits, see, people scream fruits of the Ruach, fruits of the Ruach. Fruits of the Ruach are evidence of the seed. Luke 8 and 11 tells you the seed is the word of Elohim. He said the seed fall in the good ground, and if it fall in the good ground, it die and bring forth much fruit. And he says the seed is the word, and the good ground the seed fall into is he that hear the word, understand it, and do it. And he bring forth fruit, some 30-fold, some 60-fold, some 100-fold. So the fruits of the Ruach are the evidence that the word has fell in a man's heart and has died. So you can't show fruits of the Ruach without going through the process of how you get fruit, which is why he used that imagery, which takes you back to the parable of the sower, or why they use that imagery, which takes you back to the parable about the vineyard in Isaiah, why they use that imagery. The seed has to be planted first. That seed has to die. And then there's the mark of the covenant. And then you can be able to see, oh, God in him. It ain't hard to see if you know the word, pay attention, you'll be able to know God is in him and with him. So if you want that Ruach to come, you have to die. The seed already been planted, but will you die? Will you cease to be self-willed and let the head of the household take control? Mark 9 and 33. And he came to Capernaum, and being in the house, he asked them, what was it that you disputed among yourselves by the way? But they held their shalom, for by the way they had disputed among themselves who shall be the greatest. He sat down and called the 12, and saith unto them, if any man desire to be first, the same shall be last of all, and servant of all. And he took a child and set it in the midst of them, and when he had taken him in his arms, he said, whosoever shall receive one such children in my name receive me. Whosoever shall receive me, receive not receive that receive me, receive not me, but him that sent me. My apologies. So when we look at this here, the first thing, because what we're looking at is this. One of the fruits of the Ruach is meekness, humility. This man just told these men that if any man desire to be first, the same shall be last of all and a servant of all. Remember how we just read, it said the elder shall serve the younger. So the head of the house will serve the younger. So him that has the most strength and the most honor and the most esteem will turn around and serve the people. Why is that important? Taking it back to what we're looking at Joseph, because Joseph was the son that Jacob loved. And even though, how can we put this? The blessing of the firstborn was supposed to go to Reuben. Reuben lost it because he defiled his father's couch. Technically, it was supposed to go to Joseph, but we know that Yahuwah intervened in that, and it went to Yehuda. So when you sit back and you look at it, at that particular time, Joseph had the blessing of the firstborn on his head. So therefore, he would have been the strength. He would have been the head of the household. And when you go look in his story, which we don't have time to do, you sit back and you can see that Joseph ended up serving the people because he was the one who directed them and led them out of famine. So that head of the house ended up serving all his brethren. Even though he wasn't the eldest, he had the blessing of the eldest on his head and ended up serving versus being served. This is how you experience the head. That's how you experience Elohim, by looking at men who took on his experience. You took on the experience by doing what he does. Because this is what Joseph did. Joseph served the house. That is exactly what he did. He served the whole house of Mizraim. This is how he was able to be set second in command. And how do we sit back and look at that? Because he was serving his master before he even got locked up. He was greater than these people who he was serving. Y'all do understand that. This man was sold into slavery. He was greater than every single solitary person in Egypt, and he knew it, and he still served him anyway. When you look at Daniel, Daniel knew he was better than these people he was serving, served him anyway. Mordecai knew he was better than these people he was serving, served him anyway. Yahusha knew he was greater than all. And guess what he told these men to do? Be a servant of all. That's what you do. Because that's what I do. Let's look at another thing of what we have experienced. You called away experience Elohim. Let's go to Mark chapter 8, because we already right here. Make it quick. It's 10 to quarter to 11. Mark chapter 8. Y'all don't give me a lot of feedback on the phone. I'd ask you for examples for yourselves. But we'll just pick and choose as many things as we can come with. More so to come with picking and choosing things that come from the fruits of the Ruach, so we can see the experience that the shepherd caused us to be able to see. So we've knocked out meekness. We'll hit joy right after I read this 8. Because the next thing we're looking at here and Mark 8 is we looking at mercy or gentleness. That's what we're looking at. He calls you to experience. In those days, the multitude being very great and having nothing to eat, Yahushua called the disciples unto him and saith unto them, I have compassion on the multitude, because they've now been with me 3 days and have nothing to eat. And if I send them away fasting to their own houses, they will faint by the way, for diverse of them came from far. And his disciples answered him, From whence can a man satisfy these men with bread here in the wilderness? Ain't that something? Because the first thing y'all supposed to think about is, how can a man satisfy these men with bread here in the wilderness? You might automatically click to the law, because Yahuwah satisfied men with bread in the wilderness. And you know that the wilderness had a name, and that name was sin. And he turned around and he satisfied men with bread in the wilderness by the body of his son, so that you could see the mercy of Elohim and you could experience him. See, this is how you look at this stuff, and you take it back to the law, and you begin to see how Yahushua calls you to behold the experience of the head. Behold the experience of Abba. Behold the experience of Yahuwah. Behold the experience of Elohim, and you will emulate. This is how you know that he's the shepherd. Because his bow abode in his strength. His covenant abode in this. It dwelt in this. So if we say we the strength, if we the strength of Elohim, being his firstborn, being man, being the sons of Adam, being the sons of Elohim, and we his strength, and then we supposed to be the elders or the Rahs or the heads of this household. Individually, if you're a man, you're a husband, you're a father, then that's what you have to consider. This is what you execute in your house to cause your wife and your kids to behold the experience of the head. Therefore, everyone you come in encounter with will behold this experience. And then for those who are not married, that is the type of man that you ought to strive to become. And that's the type of man that a woman should to desire to marry. This is one of the reasons in our culture why when they did arranged marriages, they knew who they were giving their children to. They wanted to give them to a particular stock. They knew what type of parents you had. They knew how you were taught. They knew how you were raised. So I'm just not going to give my daughter to anybody. If they were wise people, I want my daughter married to no dummy, no wicked man, not setting her up for failure like that. I'll keep her in my household before I send her like crashing like that. Verse 4, right? Verse 5. And when he asked them, how many loaves have ye? They said 7. He commanded the people to sit down on the ground, and he took the 7 loaves and gave thanks and brake and gave to his disciples to set before them, and they did set them before the people. And they had a few small fishes, and he baruched and commanded to set them also before them. So they did eat and were filled, and they took up the broken meat, and there was left 7 baskets. And they that had eaten were about 4,000, and he sent them away. He called these people to experience the mercy of Elohim. He called them to experience that. You think the people ain't go back and share that experience with other people? Just to keep it in simplest terms. When you go to a restaurant, when you go to a store, when you go to some type of theme park, I don't care what it is, whatever you visit, you have that experience with this particular vendor, with this particular service, with this particular store, with this particular restaurant. And if it's a good experience, you relay that experience to everybody you know. But if it's a bad experience, you relay that to everybody you know. And now through you, they have somewhat had that experience that you have had. Some people have not gone to a restaurant or seen a movie based off the words of the experience of someone whom they knew. So just imagine if you experience Yahuwah, Bahashem Yahusha, and you able to impart that experience unto another. You may be able to bring somebody's soul to be saved. That's why he said, if one convert a sinner from the error of his way, let that person know you done covered a multitude of sins. This is why he said, if he would have caused my people to hear my words, then he would have turned every one of them from their evil ways. Because a shepherd is going to cause the people to behold the experience of Elohim. So what experience are you manifesting to other people? Is the question. See, that's what we're looking at Yahushua. Look at the experience. The people were following him. He fed them. They experienced the mercy of Elohim through that. His disciples were arguing about which one of them should be the greatest. He told them, well, shoot, man. He that's the head, let him be servant of all. We already mentioned John 13 where he washed their feet. He called them to experience the meekness. Now let's experience the joy. Matthew 26. I gotta get my spot where I'm at. I'm looking right at it, and I know that I am. And there it is. Matthew chapter 26 and verse 26. I just want you to consider. Just hear the word of Elohim and lay it in your hearts and consider. Now remember, this is his bow abiding in strength. This is his covenant abiding in strength. And this is how his covenant is moving. This is how his covenant is moving. That strength of that hand is marking that seed. Not only is he marking that seed by that strength, he marked, number one, Yahushua marked with the Ruach, but then he marking all the other ones who are of him. So consider. All you got to do is consider. And once you consider, what is your desire like? Because if you of his sheep, and we ain't even talk about that sheep too deep tonight. If you of his sheep, your desire is to life. That's why I say my sheep know me and they follow me. Of course his sheep is going to follow him once he done caused them to experience the living Elohim. And that's what they desire a lot. Of course they're going to follow him. Why do you think his sheep are following him? Because of his influence. See, right, just to use this in terms of, when you look at a woman when she young, she usually going to follow a man because he cute, talk real good, treats her nice, makes her feel good on the inside. But when she gets older, if she ain't been married, and she done did that a couple times, that doesn't impress her anymore. That little cute stuff when you 20-something years old, and you hit 30 and you still not married, your seriousness on the person you choose to make as your companion, it gets a lot stricter, and that stuff don't move you anymore. Because now you're looking at the influence of what this person can have on your life positively, and what direction he's going to take you in, for you to know him and follow him. It takes on a whole different meaning because your perspective and your priorities and your objectives change versus when you were young. Ain't no different than a man. It'd be all cool. She got a nice booty. She's pretty. She got big titties. All that type of stuff. You know, she's cool. That stuff well and good till you hit a certain age. Then that's not impressive anymore. Because now you're looking for something a little deeper, something a little more solid, something a little bit more firm. What type of brain does she have? What type of objective does she possess? Because I don't need no dummy following me. Because I can walk alone. And that comes down to influence. You know him and follow him because of the influence that he had. He's influencing you to be humble. He's influencing you to be merciful and compassionate. He's influencing you to be gentle. He's influencing you to have joy. He is influencing you to have faith. He is influencing you to love Elohim. That's why you follow him. Because of his influence. And how did he cause you to have that? How was he able to influence you? It was because of the experience that he manifested towards you. It's just that simple. Matthew 26 and 26. And as they were eating, Yahushua took bread and baruched it and brake it and gave it to the disciples and said, "Take, eat, this is my body." He took the cup and gave thanks and gave it to them, saying, "Drink ye all of it. For this is my blood of the New Testament, which is shed for many for the remission of sins. But I say unto you, I will not drink henceforth of this fruit of the vine until that day when I drink it new with you in my Abba's kingdom." And when they had sung a hymn, they went out into the Mount of Olives. When they sung a hymn, let's look in Colossians and see what really them hymns is about. This man is getting ready to die, yet his abode and strength, he's happy, he's joyful in the moment when he's finna get ready to die. Number one, when he's drinking this cup, he's showing you the love of Elohim and the influence, because Elohim so loved the world, he gave his only begotten son. That greater love have no man than this, that a man lay his life, and that's Colossians chapter 3. That a man lay his life down for his friends. Is that Colossians 3 or do I need 4? It is Colossians 3. Colossians 3 and 15. You think about that. He influenced you to love Elohim and to love your brother by sacrificing yourself when he sat down and meet with them and did that. And then after that, he showed them the joy of Elohim, to influence that even in the midst of tribulation, have joy. And after we read this Colossians 3 and 15, we will read John 16 and 30. And let the shalom of Elohim rule in your hearts, to the which also you are called in one body, and be ye thankful. Let the word of Mashiach dwell in you richly in all wisdom, teaching and admonishing one another in psalms and hymns and spiritual songs, singing with grace in your hearts to Yahuwah. And whatsoever you do in word or deed, do all in the name of the Master Yahushua, giving thanks to Elohim and Abba by him. You know, if you sing in these songs with grace in your heart, you sing in songs of a separated seed. Which takes us back to what we talked about in Genesis 25 of how one is stronger than the other. So you have to think about that. I just want you to pause and think about that. Just let it marinate in your brain. Because you know if you're thinking about the strength in that Genesis 25, you're looking at the strength of the mark that is destroyed, or destroy the mark of strength, or the covenant, which is about to happen to him. Because remember, two seeds are being separated from your bowels, and one is stronger than the other. And the elder served the younger. What made this seed stronger than the other was his faith in his service. His service is showing the love of Elohim, which is causing you to experience Elohim. Because this is why Yahusha is the shepherd of Yasharal and the stone of Yasharal. This is what every shepherd is supposed to do. That's why Peter said, being an ensample. So behold the experience of the head. You'll see that in the shepherd. You see it in the chief shepherd. And therefore it will cause you to return unto him. Because you would be his sheep. Because your desire would be unto him. Because of the experience of Elohim which he is manifesting unto you. But if you don't desire that, and then it goes back to the analogies that I use consistently and constantly, because I just feel like personally that's the best one that you can wrap your mind around and that you can physically see with your own two eyes. If your desire is to righteousness, then you would desire a righteous man for your mate, and vice versa. So if your desire is for righteousness, then you're going to desire to return to your shepherd. You're going to desire to return to him. He's given you the experience of Elohim. And if the desire is to life, and Elohim is life, then that's what your desire would be. But if you don't desire a righteous man, then of course you're going to pick the sinner. And of course you're going to run away from your shepherd. And of course you're going to stay out in the mountains and be devoured by wolves. Because you're an obstinate, stubborn sheep who utterly refuses to listen. So, but we're not finished yet. I mentioned something else and I forgot what it was. That's what happens when you get old, man. You killed all your brain cells from marijuana abuse. Let's look at self-control. Let's go to Mark chapter 3 and verse 1. And let's look at self-control. Mark 3 and 4. We're going to sit back and look at Mashiach being angry, but yet showing that self-control to not execute that anger upon one. I guess we can look at when the dude got his ear cut off. It's another example of self-control. And he entered again into the synagogue, and there was a man there which had a withered hand, and they watched him whether he would heal him on the Shabbat, that they might accuse him. He saith unto the man which had the withered hand, stand forth. He saith unto them, is it lawful to do good on the Shabbat, or to do evil, to save life, or to kill? But they held their shalom. This is goodness as well, because he's doing good. And when he looked around about on them with anger, being grieved for the hardness of their hearts, which takes you back to the archers have grieved him in Genesis 49, he saith unto the man, stretch forth thy hand. And he stretched it out, and his hand was restored whole as the other. And the Pharisees went forth straightway and took counsel with the Herodians against him, how they might destroy him. So you can't even sit back and look at it as right this here, right? You do justly and you do rightly, and you trying to help these people, and it grieves your soul. And look at these wicked niggas do. Plot. Man ain't did nothing wrong, and they plotting. All he did was just look at that self-control he was showing. He looking at him with anger. He could have snapped. said, look at these hard-headed. He said, you know what? I'm just going to go on about my business. I'm just going to go on about my business. Because I've been to bust one of these niggas upside their head. You don't think this man didn't want to walk around here and bust none of these niggas upside their head? You don't think he wanted to bust none of these men upside their head? Let's look at an example of his faith. But we're going to look at an example of his faith in a different way. Come over to Matthew 9. I know we're going to look at the self-control, but y'all know the story about Peter cut the dude ear off. He put the man ear back on. Told him, I could get 12 legions of Malachim, but Peter's scripture got to be fulfilled. That's self-control. He caused you to experience the self-control of Elohim with that. Y'all know the self-control of Elohim. We done talked about it before. He could have wiped out all Yasharal when the people did that with that golden calf. Moses said, please don't do it. He said, you know what, Moses, I ain't going to do it. When he was around there crying for manna, this, that, and the third, he could have killed everybody. He just gave them some manna. With them quails, though, he let them know. He had to take some of them out. When they were talking trash, he took some out. He still showed them some mercy and compassion. He said, take that serpent, put it on that pole. Whoever look on it, it's better life. Y'all don't realize how much self-control Yahuwah show towards us and not taking us out. Because we be wrong every time. And Yahushua came through and caused you to behold the experience of Elohim by him showing self-control. Not just by resisting sin. I seen a nigga the other day but like, you don't think these women tried Yahushua with some booty? I said, boy, that nigga here crazy. And how he put it, nigga sound like a fool. But in reality, who knows? Somebody probably did. Who knows? I don't know. It ain't written in the text. I can't say it didn't happen. I can't say it did. I wouldn't doubt it though. Because hoes been hoes since the foundation of the world. I wouldn't doubt a woman tried that man with some booty. I wouldn't doubt it at all. Because these hoes out here doing it every day. Because I yet to see how in the world righteousness can make you moist. I don't understand how that can happen. I can see you being attracted to that. I don't see how that'll sexually arouse you. You know what I'm saying? That's some weirdo stuff right there, man. That don't make no sense to me. But she's so righteous, boy. Golly, I want to have sex with her. Really? That's the first thought that came to your head? Like all the things that could have came to your head for righteousness, sex come to your head? Really? Why are people backwards? It's all out though. I'm talking about human beings will take the most spiritual thing in the world and make it carnal and make it show they forth that they're a man and not a spiritual being. Say, I can't even give you no meat with milk because you still carnal. Because if you think like that, you carnal. Ain't nowhere in the world. Ain't nowhere in the world you can sit back and see a woman spiritual and the first thing you think about is you want to have sex with her. Really, nigga? Oh, that's a spiritual man, girl. I can't wait for him for me and him to have coitus. What? What? Gotta go to stop thinking like men and start thinking like y'all. I'm trying to tell you. I will go on to Matthew chapter 9. You know you don't never really think about it, but when it get put in words like that, that sounds really stupid. 9 and 23. 8 and 23, my apologies. It sounds really stupid when you put it in that like, whoa. Who would think that way? Who thinks that way? We will go to Matthew 9. I got to get ready to wrap this up. He said, when he was entered into a ship, his disciples followed him, and behold, there arose a great tempest in the sea, insomuch that the ship was covered with the waves, but he was asleep. And his disciples came to him and awoke him and saying, Master, save us, we perish. And he saith unto them, Why are ye fearful, O ye of little faith? Then he arose and rebuked the winds and the sea, and there was great calm. But the men marveled, saying, What manner of man is this, that even the wind and seas obey him? Well, why do the wind and seas obey him? You remember what he told them people when he was praying? He said, Father, I know you always hear me. I don't do this but for the people who stand by that they can hear it. You know what level of faith you got to have to step out of a boat and tell the winds and the seas to stop? See, we wasn't even going to go to the level of faith he got to go to be killed, to be resurrected from the dead. Look at the level of faith he had where he could get up and calm his disciple and say, why are you scared? You ain't got no faith. I rebuke the sea and the wind. And the people sitting back amazed. What manner of man is this? The sea and the wind listened to him. They beheld the experience of Elohim with that. Who else got the ability to tell the sea and wind to be still? Didn't he tell you in Psalms, be still and know that I am Elohim? Ain't that what he told you? They experienced, don't you know, you didn't even catch that those people sat there and marveled and seen that they experienced Elohim with that. They say this man just told the seas to stop. They say, man, this man just told the seas to stop, man. Brother, man just told the sea to stop. The sea stopped. I seen it. But the wind was blowing me everywhere. He just told it to stop. It stopped. And he like, I know, nigga. I went and got him. I was scared. Matthew chapter 9. You know that's got 9 and 18. That's got to be something to see right there. I'll tell you no lie. You sitting around here, wind blowing, seas ravaging the boat. You think the boat finna capsize. You think everybody finna die. And that man just calmly get up and look at you in the face and say, why are you so fearful? Oh, ye of little faith. And rebuke the sea and the wind, and they stop on the spot. Boy, I got to be something to see. You hear me? Now, we done already looked at love and joy. We finna look at a little goodness, a little faith. We done looked at meekness and temperance. And we about to get a little gentleness from what we finna look at. And you can see the anger part in Mark 3 was a little long suffering. But what we've been looking at is what? How the shepherd caused the people to experience Elohim. See, I know you thought we might have went about it looking at it as him manifesting and opening the book. But what we really wanted to go to is a shepherd would cause you to understand the character of Elohim through actions. So through those actions, the people were able to actually have that experience of what, and when we read John 14 and make John 14 look a little different, it caused the people to understand who Yahuwah is, who he was, and who he always be. Because one thing about him, he don't change. That means he's consistent. Say Yahushua HaMashiach is saying yesterday, today, and forever. I am Yahuwah, I change not. That's consistency. See, that's another thing when you sit back and you look at it, what Yahushua calls the people to experience as the Raah, as the shepherd, is the consistency. He never changed. Same person every day. That means you're faithful. That means you're reliable. You're dependable. You solid. Which takes us back to that Amatz with that strength. You solid. Which, of course, we'll tie those words in a little bit stronger when we deal with the lost sheep part. Because, again, we just throwing them out there, setting the table. Because the direction I went didn't allow me to hit them like I thought I would be able to do as I was cycling through my mind. And we still got one more thing to talk about, which is the sheep gate. Like I said, we didn't talk about the sheep too tough this evening, I should say. But I would hope that y'all can understand what it means to be the experience. So then when you sit back and look at, you're the elder of the house or the shepherd of the house or things of that nature, then you would need to see how you need to cause that experience in your house to your wife and to your children. Because we've talked, and I try to keep it balanced. I can't say how balanced it is or what the numbers is. As far as just dealing with, we talk to the women about what the women's supposed to do, because I want the women to be as strong and to be the best possible versions of themselves that they possibly can be, and to make sure that they receive the Ruach themselves. Conversely, though, it's not like the men just to get scared away, but it's time for more of the focus to be on them, so that you can sit back and nurture them women and nurture them children, be the best version of yourself, so you can get it, so that your houses are directed properly, so these women delight in serving you. as you should delight in serving them. You chose her. You know what I'm saying? So it should be a small thing for you to serve this woman and put this woman before your own interests and desires. It should be a small thing. You wanted to marry her. What else? What did you want to marry her for? For some vagina? How disrespectful and shameful is that? That's all she was worth to you? You mean to tell me you didn't have enough wisdom to be able to determine this woman has more value from a little feeling in between your legs? That's all you see she worth? Do you not realize this woman got more work than to sit at home and take care of kids and wash drawers and cook meals all day? They got more skills than that? Did you not recognize the skills this woman had? I'm a firm believer in this. I believed it since I was a jit. Get a solid woman on your team, you can go real far. You can go real far if you got a solid woman on your team. Especially if she down with you and want to ride with you on the journey. Shouldn't neglect that. Shouldn't underappreciate that. Shouldn't overlook that. You should cultivate it. You should nurture it. And you should make sure that it blooms and blossoms because it's going to benefit you. You ain't got too many women out here willing to ride with nobody on nothing. Especially ain't got too many women out here willing to help you build anything. You know what I'm saying? Straight up and down. Go a whole lot further. You know, we've run across that photo and shared periodically from time to time to call men to consider dudes. Say he asked a millionaire, how did he do it? He say, screw girls, just get you one woman and focus on her. But in reality, I was taught that as a jit as well, though. Just get you one solid woman and just deal with her. That's it. You know what I'm saying? Just deal with her. Help her help you. You know what I'm talking about? You help her to help herself. And if she down with you, you take that woman wherever she want to go. You buy that woman whatever she want. And you do whatever she wants you to do. That's outside of that there because she riding for you. Because she riding for you. Some nigga too dumb to realize they got a woman riding for them till she get out the car. See, some women just along for the ride. And some women will grab the steering wheel. You know what I'm talking about? Some women, you got to know the difference. Somebody who just along for the ride. So you don't want no woman who with you along for the ride. You want a woman to sit back, she see you dozing off. I'll drive. Because I know where we going. Because you already explained to me where we going. So I already know where we going. So I'll drive. Nevertheless. Matthew 9 and 18. He said, while he spake these things unto them, behold, there came a certain ruler and worshipped him, saying, my daughter is even now dead, but come lay thy hand upon her, and she shall live. Yahushua arose and followed him, and so did his disciples. And behold, a woman which was diseased with the issue of blood 12 years came behind him and touched the hem of his garment. For she said within herself, if I may but touch his garment, I shall be whole. But Yahushua turned him about, and when he saw her, he said, daughter, be of good comfort. Thy faith hath made thee whole. And the woman was made whole from that hour. See, that's goodness right there. That's gentleness right here. He ain't say, who you is thinking you finna touch me? And when Yahushua came into the ruler's house and saw the minstrels and the people making noise, he said unto them, give shalom. Give place, my apologies. For the maid is not dead, but sleep. And they laughed him to scorn. But when the people were put forth, he went in and took her by the hand, and the maid arose, and the fame thereof went abroad into all that land. And when Yahushua departed thence, 2 blind men followed him, crying, saying, thou son of Daud, have mercy on us. And when he came into the house, the blind men came to him. And Yahushua saith unto them, believe ye that I am able to do this? And they said, yea, unto him, yea, master. Then he touched their eyes, saying, according to your faith, be it unto you. And their eyes were open, and Yahushua straightly charged them, saying, see that no man know it. But when they were departed to spread abroad his fame in all that country. And we already read verse 32. So again, you see how he calls these people to experience the head. See, that is what a shepherd will do. This is why he told the shepherd to feed the flock. Feed them with the experience of Elohim. In word and in deed. Feed it to them. Let's get this John 14 and then Hebrews 6, and we'll call it a night. And who are willing, we'll pick it up and start talking about them lost sheep, and still tie into everything else, because them lost sheep is gonna bring apart. Take us back to, well, let me put in synopsis this Genesis 49, because I know I read all that, and y'all willing, I might revisit it on tomorrow, but we're not going to be able to hit all that tonight, clearly. But that Genesis 49 about verse 25, so you can know and you can search it yourselves. When you see that he shall bless thee with the blessings of heaven above, that's blessing him with the Ruach HaKadosh, because he said, even thou Elohim, who shall help thee. The blessings of the deep that lie under is resurrecting him from the dead. The blessings of the breast and of the womb. That womb in the grave. If you look at Jerusalem as the mother of us all. The blessings of thy father have prevailed above the blessings of my progenitors unto the utmost bound of the everlasting hills. If you know what the everlasting hills is, you go read Micah 4, Isaiah chapter 2, and that's Mount Zion and Jerusalem. His progenitors are those who birthed him. Yahushua excelled. He excelled above Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and every one that came before him. And they were upon the head of Joseph, and the crown of the head of him, which you can read Revelation 14 and see that crown was on Yahushua, and that he was separate from his brethren. And you know he made separate from his brethren, because we didn't read the verse in Matthew, but he say, you know, quoting Zechariah, smite the shepherd and the sheep shall be scattered. And they all left him. And he was on that stake by himself. And he was separated from his brethren, because he that sanctified, and he that sanctify all are one, for which cause he's not ashamed to call them brethren. Because who is my mother, who is my brother, who is my sister, who is my mother, but he that do the will of Elohim. And because he had to be sacrificed, and he abode in strength, and that he was a separate seed that was stronger than the other, and he served the younger, this is what caused him to have that crown, to be separate from his brethren. And again, we'll look, y'all willing, we probably will go into it in tomorrow in a little bit more detail. This is what's going to cause us to be separate from our brethren, that we might receive a crown of life, because we fought the faith and we kept the fight. So now a crown has been laid up for us, because we were able to experience, to behold the experience of Elohim. And that's what we need to be seeking to do. That's what a shepherd will cause you to do. It's not just about imparting precepts. It's just not about, oh, this is Yahushua. And I've been telling y'all this for the longest. It's just not about that. But we're overlooking. You got to sit back and look at it. Not only was, and this is John 14 and 9. Not only was Yahushua hitting them with that word. Not only that. But he was hitting them with the experience. And they overlooked both. They overlooked both. And you know why they overlooked both? Because they couldn't do it and they were envious. So what do jealous and envious niggas do? Throw dirt on your name. Cause people to despise you and hate you. That's all the scribes were doing. That's all the Pharisees were doing. Got killed, didn't they? Got dropped down, didn't they? I don't know who the nigga think he is. He can't. This nigga can't. No, sir. Yahushua saith unto him, have I been so long time with you, and yet thou hast not known me, Philip? He that hath seen me hath seen Abba. How say thou then, show us Abba? Believe thou not that I am in Abba, and Abba in me? The words that I speak unto you, I speak not of myself, but Abba that dwell in me, he do the works. Believe me that I am in Abba, and Abba in me, or else believe me for my very words' sake. Truly, truly, I say unto you, he that believe on me, the works that I shall do, shall he do also. Greater works than these shall he do, because I go unto my Abba. And that's pretty much what he told him. I've caused you to experience Abba. You still don't believe me? Hebrews chapter 6, man. Hebrews chapter 6. And what we dealing with in the Hebrews chapter 6 is this. Everything we were talking about tonight is encapsulated in this. Therefore, leaving the principles of the doctrine of Mashiach, let us go unto perfection, not laying again the foundation of repentance from dead works and faith toward Elohim. Ain't no way in the world, because what we talking about is going on to perfection. You don't need to be laying no foundation of not sinning. and participating in dead work. Your faith should already be solid. Of doctrines of emergence and of laying of hands and of resurrection of the dead and of eternal judgment. And this we will do if Elohim permit. For it is impossible for those who are once enlightened and have tasted of the gift of Shamahim and were made partakers of the Ruach HaKadosh and have tasted the good word of Elohim and the powers of the world to come, if they shall fall away, to renew them again unto repentance, seeing they crucified to themselves the Son of Elohim and put him to an open shame. You notice how he said it's impossible for those who have beheld the experience of the strength to go backwards. Because once they've been a partaker of such a beautiful and delightful experience, and hallelujah for Yahushua for it, ain't no man going back after that. They're going to stand firm in that righteousness and continue to move therewith. So with that being said, hallelujah for Yahushua in the word. We will stop it right there. Does everybody understood this, and does anybody have